I'd like to welcome everybody to our March 15th Brigantine City Council meeting. Could you please rise for the flag salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you could remain standing while our Deputy Mayor Karen View leads us in prayer.
May luck be with you wherever you go, and your blessings outnumber the shamrocks that grow. May your days be as many and your troubles be few. May all God's blessings descend upon you. May peace be within you. May your heart be strong. May you find what you're seeking. First of all, we have a lifelong resident of Perry O'Connor, who passed away last week. Many of us got to know Perry when she was in photography times, or when she worked at the gym, or at Chicago. Most recently, Perry worked for our recreation department. She has been an instructor of digital photography for the CER for many years. Perry is survived by her daughter Jackie, two granddaughters, Vanessa and Violet. Very smiling, certainly missed by all the family. So we had Anthony Lucy pass this week. Anthony and his family have been all-time Brigantine residents. He's behind his wife Janet, his daughters Michelle, and husband John Stone. Lucy, their sons Mark and great-grandchildren. Finally, our community also lost a man who's larger than life, Harry Garrett III, passed on Saturday at the age of 94. Harry grew up in the inlet section of Atlantic City and went on to be a lifelong Atlantic City lifeguard, retiring as a deputy assistant chief. Of course, we all know Harry as being the original Brigantine dog, member number one, and for 3 years he became state president, Grant Esquire. Harry leaves behind his wife Lois, their son William, grandson William, great-grandson, and his brother Phil Garrett, along with many nieces and nephews. Harry's passion for the Elks was so evident every time he walked to the East Lodge. He helped them.
Lynn, can you read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement?
This is to advise the meeting notices covering this meeting have been sent and posted as required under the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you. Ryan, any need for an executive session tonight? We need our approval of our February 15th executive session minutes. We have a motion and second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View.
Yes.
Lettieri. Haney.
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Marisara.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Approval of payroll, requisition list, and operating expenses. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View.
Yes.
Lettieri. Haney.
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
Reardon.
Yes.
Marisara.
Yes.
Motion carried.
At this time, we'll open it up for public comment. This is public comment on agenda items only. Please state your name and address for the record. All right, seeing no public comment, we're going to close the public portion. Next up, we have ordinance number 4, and this is an introduction. This is number 4 of 2023, and this is an ordinance for adoption of the floodplain management regulation of the city of Brigantine. We have a motion and second.
Second.
This is something that we've actually gone back and forth with state DEP for about 2 years. We had a lot of questions about what it is they were trying to accomplish through this ordinance. Basically, the gist of what comes from it, this is something that's being pushed down from the federal government through FEMA. FEMA had a belief that not just the state of New Jersey, but a number of states were not enforcing the floodplain management regulations in the way that they wanted them enforced. So this was a way of them clarifying that language. One of the major changes that comes out of this is that things that I guess that weren't normally permitted before, like some of the home improvements, flooring, things like that, all now need to have a permit. And the reason the state wants it permitted is what they want the city to do is keep track of all of the developments or repairs or modifications that are done to homes. Because once you reach the 50% or greater threshold that constitutes a substantial improvement, they want homes to be brought into compliance with their flood regulations. For us, we've kind of gone back and forth with the state about as long as we can. Uh, we're coming up in our CRS review, and that's for our flood insurance. Right now, we are a 5. I believe we're moving to a 4, and that will help us to get a substantial discount, 30% discount on our flood insurance rates. If we do not pass this and come in compliance, they're actually going to, they had threatened to take us out of the CRS program or roll us back to a 10. It's not worth continuing the battle and hurting the residents of Brigantine. Over 200 municipalities in the state have already passed this. And since there's 200 that have passed and only about 20 now that are kind of holding out, they've kind of said, listen, we've gone as far as we can with this. You're either going to pass it and come in compliance, or you're going to suffer the consequences through CRS. So that's kind of where we are with this. I think our biggest concerns did not just come from the floodplain management regulations, but because of their reference to the New Jersey PAC regulations, and that's New Jersey Protection Against Climate Change. Those regulations have not been finished. The DEP, we've been working with Senator Palestina and a number of coastal mayors. The DEP is still willing to work on our concerns with the PAC regulations, and I think that was probably our bigger concern. So this will reference what will become the PAC when they're finally finished. That'll be something that'll come out in the next probably year. And I think the biggest concern for Brigantine is they want to raise heights another 5 feet of freeboard. So you're talking about raising homes. I think for Brigantine, you're probably looking at another 3 feet. Some of the issues we have with that is one, there's a lot of people who are in compliance with the new heights, with the 50% or substantial, I guess, improvements, you would have to bring it to the new heights. Also, with some of the flood maps that they're using, we don't think that it's realistic. And to make changes based on like a 5-foot sea rise would mean that a good portion of Brigantine was underwater and unlivable anyway. So why would you need the regulations at that point? So the DEP said they are still willing to work with us to try to come up with ways to make it work and work with Senator Palestina on that. So we'll keep people posted. But we're at a position where we feel comfortable passing now the floodplain management regulations, knowing that we can still work with PAC regulations where we had major concerns. So I just wanted to kind of bring council up to speed with that. We've been, like I said, working on that for about 2 years. It started with Senator Chris Brown when we started this, and then obviously we have Senator Palestina now who has picked that up for us and made sure that we've had a good relationship with the DEP to try to work out basically how to make it work reasonably, not just for Brigantine, but for a number of the coastal communities. All right, so if there's no questions or comments. All right, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, we have ordinance number 5 of 2023. This is an introduction. This is an ordinance amending section 210-37 of the code of the city of Brigantine, adding a fee for floodplain management. This is a $50 fee. What this fee is going to cover is 2 things. One, we have to start sending inspectors out to, one, make sure that people are compliant with the ordinance. 2, it's a processing fee also for the new permit that's being added. This is very much in line with the other municipalities who have also passed this floodplain management ordinance. We have a motion second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
Delupre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-55, and this is establishing procedures to hire a city manager. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
Delupre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-57, and this is. I must have missed one. I apologize. Yeah, I missed one. Thank you. I realized as soon as I checked it. All right, so let's try that again. Resolution 2023-56, and this is a resolution by the City of Brigantine authorizing the city manager to a shared service agreement with the City of Ventnor for a licensed water and sewer operator services. We have a motion second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
Delupre? Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Apologize, allergies. Resolution 2023-57, and this is a resolution by the City of Brigantine authorizing award of contract for Professional Property Appraisals, Inc. for tax appeals and consulting, and this is in a will not exceed amount of $19,000. We have a motion second.
I'll make that motion.
Questions or comments?
Just want to make clear, this isn't that the city's preparing to do a reassessment on the properties. This is something that we do every year for people who file tax appeals. Right.
All right, if there's no other questions, can we have roll call?
View. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
Delupre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-58, and this is a resolution by the City of Brigantine authorizing award of contract for Pathfinders Resources LLC as project management consultant. We have a motion second. Bless you. Was there a second? I'm sorry, I heard a sneeze, but no second. All right, seconded by Councilman Lettieri. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, if you could refresh my recollection, this scope of work is for what and what was the bid?
I don't think I have the bid in front of me. It's for, I guess, what we're doing is project, obviously consultant work, with all of our capital projects here in the city. We had a number of projects that were basically stuck because we don't have the staff or personnel to run. I apologize. To do a lot of the follow-up. One of the things we do here in the city is we run very, very lean when it comes to full-time employees. Rather than hiring full-time employees to chase people around, what we decided to do is hire an outside project manager that we would pay a consulting fee to. It's not a flat fee. They bill just for the hours that they use, but what it basically does is frees up our director of public works and our city engineer, thank you, to be able to follow up and work on the projects that are going on in the city and not chase people around. A big part of what we use that for is also with communications. There's a lot of people who have questions or want information on the different projects, and our project consultant actually reaches out to them and keeps them informed of how projects are moving forward. I don't know what the bid, I think it's an hourly bid rate, but I don't remember. Yeah. Yeah.
Now that's on an as-needed basis, so if in a given week, it's only 10 hours, we're still billing 24.
Yeah, so if there's no work performed in a week, there's no bill. It's just billed on what is done. Services, I guess, rendered. There's no other questions or comments. Can we have roll call?
You? Yes. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-59, and this is a resolution authorizing work change order number 1 final for the contract between Boardwalk Construction LLC for the replacement of the roof at City Hall, and this is a net decrease of $5,000. We have a motion and second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You? Yes. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-60, and this is a resolution by the City of Brigantine, change order number 1, final contract with Charles Marandino LLC for the streetscape revitalization project, West Brigantine Avenue from 30th Street to 35th Street South. And this is a net reduction of $104,749.93. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Questions or comments? Absolutely. There's no further comments. Can we have roll call?
You? Yes. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-61, and this is a resolution designating additional official newspapers for the City of Brigantine. One of the issues we're having with the Atlantic City Press is that they're not printing their newspaper 7 days a week. They're going down to about 3 days a week. It has made it hard for noticing. So we want to make sure that we have different newspapers to choose from so we can make sure that we can meet our obligation to legally notice things. So we're adding the Courier Post and the Star Ledger to our list of official newspapers for the city so that we have options. We have a motion second. Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You? Yes. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-62, and this is a resolution by the City of Brigantine, New Jersey, authorizing the award of contract to Charles Marandino LLC for the reconstruction of 44th Street from Brigantine Avenue to Bayshore, and this is in the amount of $860,418.15. We have a motion second.
I'll make that motion.
I know we also got grants and stuff for that as well, right? Do you remember what the grant amounts were? Question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we have 2 grants, but all associated with that. That 860,000 doesn't, that's the total amount of the project, but there's grants of, I believe it's $200,000 approximately each for each one. So about half of that we're actually funding.
Okay. Yeah, so those grants came through the New Jersey DOT grant funds, and I think we got them over a
Yeah,
couple years.
They're the DOT grants, yes. And we combined 2 years because it does this on that, so we were able to do that.
All right, perfect. So the city's really only funding about half,
Approximately, yeah.
approximately half.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we had a motion second. Are there questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You? Yes. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-63, and this is authorizing agreement between the DEP and the city for project number 6030-R4-23, Brigantine Inlet to Greater Egg Harbor Inlet, Brigantine Inlet, New Jersey, Brigantine Beachville Shore Project. Can we have a motion second?
Second.
We actually did this at our last council meeting, but we're bringing it back. We received an additional 5 million in federal funding from the federal government. So we wanted to obviously redo the contract. When the project first went out to bid, before the project went out to bid, we had a pre-construction meeting, and one of the things the Army Corps of Engineers had let the city know that similar projects were coming in way over bid, and they didn't think that there was enough money allocated to the project from the federal, state, and local level. Um, we need about 1.8 million cubic yards of sand to meet the template. So we're a managed beach to meet that template. After mobilization cost under the first contract, it only left about enough money for about 200,000 cubic yards. Really not enough to having meaningful beach fill. They suggested that we reach out to Congressman Van Drew and request more money. We did reach out to the congressman. We let him know the situation, let him know that prices were coming in way higher. We needed additional funds. We were notified, I guess, last week after we passed this that the 5 million in additional funds were granted. And then obviously it had to go through its path to New Jersey DEP and then to us. But it also means that Brigantine has to increase its contributions. We pay a contribution towards this. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I think we originally paid just under $1 million, and it takes us up to 1.6 million that the city has to put up towards that. It's what is it, 75% federal, and then it's split up between state and local. Yeah. So those are the major changes. Obviously, we want to have a meaningful beach fill, and we're very grateful, one, to the Army Corps of Engineers for letting us know, what was going on with other bids, because you don't want to get blindsided with things. And two, for Congressman Van Drew for stepping up to the plate for Brigantine and making sure that we had adequate funds to get this project done. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, can we have roll call?
View. Lettieri? Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so I see we have nothing on our consent agenda. Open it up to council manager committee discussion. Turn it over to Brian.
Yes, Mayor. I do have a couple things that I wanted to bring up. So we are going to have two bids coming up. The first one would be the human resource consultant. That notice to bidders is actually going to be released tomorrow. It'll be in the Press of Atlantic City and on the New Jersey League of Municipalities website. Bidders will be able to view the specifications on our website, which is brigantinebeach.org. And then the second bid that will be coming out this week will be for the food and beverage concessions at the links. And that notice will be released on Monday, March 20th. So that's this coming Monday. And it'll be advertised in the Press of Atlantic City, and it will also be posted on our city website. And that's all I had.
Perfect. And just to remind you guys, we're putting out the HR consultant twice. The first time we put it out, we actually did not receive any, bids on it. So we're also going to advertise it, in the League of Municipalities. We think we might have a better chance there. When we had gone through the process of looking for a new CFO, I know we had put stuff in the Atlantic City Press. We actually didn't really get any responses, and it wasn't that we put it in the League of Municipalities that we started to get responses. Got our fantastic CFO now. But so I think that was probably the next best place to put it, since we didn't get anything from the press. All right. Over to our department heads. Anything good for us? No, everybody good? All right. Go to our deputy mayor, Karen View.
First, I'd like to congratulate Matt Kaufman, who's a junior at Ocean City High School. He is the son of our police department captain, Bill. Matt, this past weekend, traveled to Boston with his team to participate in the New Balance National Championships. And their medley relay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Quite accomplished.
Patrick's to turn over to our second ward council, Paul Lettieri. Over to our third ward council, Dennis Hand.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I also extend my condolences to our residents. And Harry was such a influential person in our community for so many years, founding father of the Elks. Um, Some, just never dull, never easy when you lose such great people, and also the Alosis and names. Harry, yes, geez. Gonna miss not seeing Harry there too. Michael, also, I wasn't aware of Seamus, we lost our family dog, it's a tough one. He's a great dog. He was well loved, had a great little life there, great family. So, I just wanted to say that, regarding, 20th Street, and really some of our other streets in the A zone, just trying to stay on top of some of these rental issues we have regarding parking, and, we also have our animal house ordinance that we are willing and able to utilize when need be. So I was in communication with the mayor today. I called, I was on the phone with Bob Gordon, Andrea, and Bob. And by the way, Andrea, thank you for the happy St. Patrick's Day wishes. Appreciate that. I know there was some, I was speaking to the chief, in communication with the chief. I know there was some parking enforcement there. It's been an issue, so that's good to see. It's marked plainly there. No matter, some people, some people might say that they'd like to see signs on both sides of the street, whatever. However, anyone making a turn onto that street obviously on the right side of the road will see it plainly marked. That's a sign on that 400 block of 20th Street, along with all our other streets. They're all well marked. Some of them they're legible. Some of them maybe might be, possibly updated sometime in the near future. The message is clear. Um, I'm just going to defer to our mayor for whatever he might touch on regarding that, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Fourth ward councilman, Rick Delivery.
Thank you. To just mention, in respect to the ongoing searches that are going out now for both our HR consultant and for city manager, contacted this week by a person, through a friend of a friend, who's in the industry of, there is an industry, I'm not sure if he's in the business, of placing professional types in government employment. Didn't get a chance to talk for the meeting, but if that person has any ideas, where we might also advertise and bring back to council, inform or email, possible sense, and it's not too costly, which it will be, then maybe we want to add that to our universe of places where we're looking.
Great, thank you.
Picking up on what Dennis was just talking about with short-term rentals, well, seen the ongoing discussion about that in our email inbox. And I won't go too far into it because maybe hear somebody in the public today. And I, too, so two things to say, but seeing that just for fun, some of the situations that we've all heard about and deal with over the past several years that we've had this short-term rental ordinance, ranging from the really awful situations up by North End to fairly regular complaints about parking, noise, congestion, just general bad behavior. Be time for us to revisit, rethink what about short-term rentals altogether. Some of the information shared with us about other towns they've doing recently, maybe not recently, doing in terms of a little further restrictions so that there's still an opportunity. Unaware. This is very common sense for the properties. And more times you can rent it, obviously the better your offer can be in terms of bottom line. But our interest, should be balancing the interest of the city. It's nice that people can make money, but if more regulation means, program. Means that maybe they rent it less frequently or make a little less money, but it knocks out some of the problems that the neighbors are bearing in front of. It's a question of relationship.
Councilman at Large, you okay?
I agree with you guys with looking at the Airbnbs and, maybe trying to adjust it a little bit so we keep nice families coming in and keep the mess out. I think that's something that definitely has to be looked at in some of the other short towns that are done. Memorial Day weekend, 11 weeks away. Thankfully, it hasn't even really been a bad winter, but I'm sick of it. I'm done with it. Getting old, I guess. So that's good news. I'm glad that the beach replenishment project's moving forward, and I'm glad Congressman Van Drew was able to step up and get us that extra 5 million that we needed. Still like to talk in the future about getting the finger jetties out there that we've talked about, and trying to get some kind of approval to get that done because we're just throwing money and money and money at this thing. Like you said, eventually, and everybody agrees that's the answer. It's getting the government above us to finally approve it. Even though the parade was postponed last weekend, it seemed like it was a great turnout for all the restaurants and bars. So that was nice to see. Everything seemed like it was packed and everybody had a great time. And I think everybody hopefully is ready to do it again this weekend with the parade. And that's all I've got. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Talk soon.
So turn it over to our Councilman at Large, Mike Bird.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out here tonight, spending some time with us. As always, we appreciate your input and what you have to say about different matters going on in the city. Secondly, have as far as different committees, we have a big deal coming up for the Cultural Arts Commission. It's the 30th anniversary this year, so we're going to have a big celebration on Saturday night, April 22nd. At the Elks at 6 p.m. That includes full dinner and speakers. Phil Gunther started the Cultural Arts Commission 30 years ago. Vince is going to be speaking that Saturday night also. There's going to be a live band, full dinner, and so it's love to see everybody come on out and celebrate that. It should be a real good night. It's $45, and that includes the after party at Councilman DeLuca's house with open bar.
That's every weekend, right?
Secondly, the Economic Development Committees, we've been working hard on building up this shoulder season events going on. Of course, last weekend was just phenomenal, even though the parade got pushed back. Businesses, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce. We got Alex here from the Chamber of Commerce there, just the help that they provided and getting the businesses involved. It was just very, very good to see that. All businesses had specials, restaurants, bars did fabulous last weekend. The weather is getting better for this weekend. It looks like it's 50 degrees and sunny this Saturday, and I want to thank our department heads for helping out this Saturday also, as usual. John Boring, can't say enough about you. And Rich and Paul. So, and of course, we have our special Grand Marshal, the mayor, who's been participating and supportive the last several years, and he's the first Italian who would be a Grand Marshal in Brigantine St. Patrick's Day. I got a little slack over that one also, but
I feel honored.
yeah. Anyway, that's that. What else do we have? Oh, the other Grand Marshals are Will Reynolds, our Atlantic County prosecutor, Lori Herndon, head of Atlanticare, soon to be retired, and of course the publisher for the Brigantine Times, Emmett Turner. So come on out Saturday and give them a big cheer and maybe hand them a beverage if they get a little thirsty walking down the avenue. Help them out, a sandwich, whatever you want to get. That's that. Just want to mention one other thing. I want to thank everybody for condolences of our little miniature schnauzer that we had for 14 and a half years, Seamus. It's what it is. Other than that, Congressman Van Drew is having a hearing, congressional hearing right here in Wildwood on Thursday. And it's called at 2 p.m. at the Wildwood Convention Center. There's plenty of seating. It's called a congressional hearing and examination into offshore wind industrialization. They're going to have expert witnesses testifying between congressmen from Jersey, other states, professionals, fishing industry, environmental energy policy, representatives for protecting marine ecosystems, and supposedly an Orsted representative also. So it should be very interesting, the fact that he's bringing this right here to Wildwood. Short skipping a jump down there. If anybody, you have to register beforehand. So if anybody would like to go, just get my number off the front page of Brigantine Times, and I'll send you the link, and you can register, and there won't be any problem. And anything else I can help you out with, my number's always there on the front of Brigantine Times. Also, other than that, that's all I got there.
Perfect, thank you. I guess just to follow up on that too, Congressman Banjer is calling for internal investigations within the federal government. Apparently, I guess there was some document that was released from one government agency to another noting, I guess, that they had major concerns over the impact that the ocean wind projects would have on marine species and marine mammals. So he's, I guess, calling for internal investigations as well as asking for responses to those internal memos that went back and forth because he believes it needs to be public. And as much as they're going to be holding hearings down in DC, he wanted to make sure that the people of New Jersey had an opportunity to testify and be heard, and that's why he's holding it at the Wildwood Convention Center. We had originally looked at hosting that meeting here, but there are so many people engaged, there's no way that the Brigantine School would be able to hold it, so he needed a much larger venue, which, obviously he's got to do what's right for South Jersey. It would have been a huge honor to be able to host that here, but obviously there are so many people engaged, and it's what we needed. And I think people need to have their voices heard on this issue. It'll all be documented and made a part of the official record. And from there, he's going to use that to leverage the congressional hearings down in DC. For the jetties, I can tell you that Brigantine's been working on trying to get jetties on the north end for about 8 years. I've personally met with the Army Corps. I can tell you we went from the Army Corps 8 years ago saying that there's no way that they would approve them to now, probably about a year ago, they told me that because we did a feasibility study, there was a feasibility study that showed that having 5 to 7 low profile jetties would help to extend the life of the beach replenishments. The Army Corps agrees that they would be helpful, but they would not completely eliminate beach replenishments, but they still won't fund them. What they told me is that for them, they still believe the cost of the jetty far outweigh the cost they spend of doing a replenishment every 6 to 8 years. It's something we're going to continue to work on. It's something that I've met and talked with Congressman Van Drew on. One of the things that we really advocated for is when the beach was at its lowest point. I mean, literally, you can see it's down to nothing, that now would be the appropriate time to do it. They said that they would give us funding for the beach fill, but they would not fund the jetties. To put in 5 to 7 low profile jetties is cost prohibitive for the city. We would not be able to afford to do it. Like if we did that, we couldn't do anything else in the city for many years. So it's something we're going to continue to work on. One of the things we're also working on with the Army Corps is extending the seawall. At the time that the seawall was put in, there were no homes north of that. There is now homes that have developed there. And you saw during Sandy, the one home that's right on the corner, the waves wrapped around the wall and right through their garage. The Army Corps told us that they would not fund this in this cycle, that we should ask again in the next funding cycle. I don't know if it's that they already appropriated money for the beach replenishment or that they're building a seawall in another community. So we're going to keep staying on top of that. So I can tell you that the city of Brigantine agrees that we need jetties up there. You just look at the south end of the island where all of those jetties are. The sand holds. The sand picks the sand, or the storms and currents pick the sand up from the north end and drops it on the south end. Those south end beaches keep getting bigger and bigger. I have pictures back from when my grandparents owned the Pirate Motel down, I think, on about 43rd Street. When you looked at the Pirate Motel, there were no sand dunes. You could literally see the ocean from the hotel. Now it's about an 8-minute walk down the beach. And it shows that those jetties work. I remember being a lifeguard on the beach on 18th and 22nd Street. We had lifeguard stands there. I've had rescues where I had to swim out around the jetties. And now here we are about 20 years later, maybe even 25 years later, those jetties are completely buried and those beaches have grown. And that's one of the things that we keep trying to work with the Army Corps, and that's something that we're going to continue to work on. We don't get to dictate what they fund, but we're going to keep on it because we believe that this would be a huge benefit to the city. And long term, I think it would be a huge benefit to the federal government to save money if they can extend the time between replenishments and not have to replenish as frequently. I think it's a good savings for them and even for us. I know our public works department did a heroic job last year of keeping those beach paths open and making sure that people could get access down there. So that's something that's really got to be taken account on. So we're going to continue to work on that. When it comes to the short-term rentals, I've talked with a number of mayors in the shore communities. Most people agree that something needs to be done and something needs to be changed. There's a variety of different ways that people are approaching it. One of the things that there seems to be a consensus on is that most of the major problems come from the one-night single rentals. People come down, they rent a home for a night, and basically they just rent it to throw a party. And that's where we've seen a lot of the issues here in our community, as well as some of the other shore towns. One of the things we're working on right now is doing, at least for the short term, doing a change to our short-term rentals to no longer allow one night, to move it to two-night rentals. What that does is you have people who can come in for the weekend. They went for Friday, they went for Saturday, so they're here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We want to start there. If it's something that doesn't work, it doesn't have a major impact, we can start to extend it. But I think you need kind of a starting point of where we are, and we seem to see that it's those one-night rentals that have had a major problem. One of the other things we have in place too is we passed something what we call the animal house ordinance. So one of the reasons we require the short-term rentals and the rental properties to have mercantile licenses is that if they become nuisance properties, we have the ability as a city to take them before a judge and shut them down. One of the big key components of that is that we need community participation. If there's issues, we need people to call the police. We need people to file complaints against the properties themselves. And we had this with one of the properties up on the north end. Work with the community, work with the police. People filed complaints. We took those complaints before a judge. So it's not just that our police are going down there and harassing people, it's that there are continuous complaints over a period of time from the community. You take that before a judge, we were able to shut one property owner down for 6 months. You take a 6-month hit during the summer, some major financial hit to your finances. With that being said, we also have the ability with those property owners that if that doesn't work, we go back before the judge and we take away their license forever banning them from running that property. But as I said, a big part of that, people have to call. And what happens is people feel bad. They don't want to call the police. They don't want to make a complaint. But when they don't call the police and don't make a complaint, we're not in a position to hold people severely accountable. When it comes to noise violations, I can tell you that noise violations are subjective. What the police officer says and what somebody else says. But when you're responding community complaints, that helps to add that it's not just our police officers, that there are real issues there in the community. So one of the things we need to start to do is build that paper trail. And we've had that. People come in, they file the complaints, we take it before the judge, and then we have good solid footing to hold people accountable. We're hoping to have something soon on this. Like as I said, I'm working with a couple other mayors. One of the things I find is that when you have consistency across communities, it helps when you take things before judges because it's not just something that, hey, this is something that Brigantine did. This is something that a number of communities did to address the concern. So that's what we're looking at. So hopefully we'll have something on that soon. Once we get that in, I would like to have our city solicitor take a look and review it and make sure that we're on solid footing. All right, so I guess those are my updates for right now. This time, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Anybody wishing to be heard, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Andrea Sullivan, part of the Sullivan-Gordon combo at 2000 Ocean Avenue, and I'm sure most of you have heard from me. I don't mean to badger you. It's just I'm going to keep the pedal to the metal. Something has to be done. And I hear that, we're all in alignment with, this is going to be a crisis. It's a problem now. It's going to be a crisis. And I think I all sent you the weekend of the 29th, 406 is advertising a weekend, a day retreat for women, something or another. They're having seminars. They're having meditation on the beach. It's $100 deposit that holds your spot. That's the minimum deposit. There's no limit to the number. They're using these residences as like halls for events like weddings, what's next, proms. We're going to have graduation parties, but not for the homeowner. We all have those in our houses. I mean, we have Christmas parties and kids graduate, family members get married. Yeah, we have parties. We invite them over, but we're talking 20 cars per house. We've got 5 of these type of rentals on 20th Street alone. We can do the math. That'll pack in 100 vehicles on 20th Street on any given Saturday or Sunday or whenever. And mostly it's the weekend that's jammed up. Once the summer comes, this is going to be a nightmare. A nightmare. And I agree with the signage. You only need it on the right side then when you come into the street. A good sign, but I think I sent you all. I saw it over in Absecon. I was over there running over to do some shopping at ShopRite and go to the bank and stop by a friend's house, and they have real nice signage with a big red circle with a P, no parking. You don't even have to read. You can tell by just looking at the P. But I also was wondering, like, can we tow cars if they're parked illegally like we do in Philly? I mean, you go in, you can run in to pick up a takeout order, your car could be gone. That's how fast these tow trucks work. And we have a big lot down there at the community center. We can pile them in down there. And then I know in Philly, it's like $200 to get out of Lou Blum, even if you're just parking, going to get a pizza or something. And the 1 to 2 nights, I understand, like, we're going to get away from the one nighter, but we know what happens. The weekends, most of the 2 nighters are going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but most of them are going to be Friday, Saturday. Come summer, I mean, I just watched this happening. This is just going to demolish the neighborhood. And you should see how the cars come flying down the street. Some are under the influence. You almost can tell by the way they drive. Some are just driving like fancy cars and just showing off. But the poor little kids busting out of that dune path when the weather gets nicer, and they're just playing with their friends. They're not paying attention. And sometimes flying, winging it around, making a U or doing a wheelie in the bottom of the street, pulling out one of these beach houses. It's going to be a tragedy. I'm just about preserving our community because most people came down here to get away from the craziness and for the beauty of our beaches and our community and the camaraderie. And it's going to get blown up. Blown up. You'll be hearing from me. I'm going to keep it up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Andrew.
For that retreat that's coming up, I guess that's been advertised. I know that our code enforcement official is working on that right now, and our city attorney is drafting a letter. You can't have a commercial use and a non-commercial, so they're going to be notified that they can't have that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. We appreciate it.
Jim Goya, 305 20th Street.
Hey, Jeff. Sure. I'll pass it.
Andrew, you're right. I was part of the group that met with the town multiple times to work on the animal house rules and regulations due to the houses that were put across the street. Turned into rentals. 20th Street. We live diagonally across from there, so we have full visibility of what happens every single week, every weekend. So you made some really good points today. But let me just use some numbers. So if you just take the 4 houses, 304, 306, 406, and 402. This is the rental numbers, so it's not the real. 304 is 23. Read what I just asked you to take a look at. They are not to the guidance that you have in front of you today. Information. Okay. A zone is not a commercial. It's a residential. 23, 24, now 18 and 8. Now, I will tell you, been in Brigantine since '01, love it here. Full-time resident, full-time, 7. The house across the street was a nightmare. That's why we bought this animal house. Brian, the owner, tried to work with us. Tried us, call me. So we did it, and we actually got that under control. So great. Problem that I see there. Now, just give you an example. In either one of the houses first, then I'll refer back to what happened weekend. 23 people, the minimum of 10 cars. Not all of them, very, very good. Like council, down less cars. It's families, great. Pictures, both houses. That happens regularly during the summer. When you have 23 or 24, that's 10 or 11 cars at least. 23 and 30, 24 to 32. You're talking about 30 cars at any given time. Now, that's fact. Okay? Now, parking actually happens. Sure, same weekend, the parking was a problem up your end. There were in the one house, cars in the back, cars in the back, 3 cars on the street. The rest of the cars were jammed into the driveway. Cars on the street, cross threshold. Fire. They would have to park across the street to get the ladder to get to the house. That's a threat and doesn't belong. Just it's not. So the numbers there, overall, 27 cars. Trust me. We have 2 cars. I'm on a 60. I'm on the driveway. Pull out the car. Now you've got these 2 houses, 8 feet. They can go to 24, 18, 24 very easily. Counted 9 cars on the one house. 4 were on the opposite side of the street. One was on the side of the street where the house was. 3 in the driveway. 1 in the back. Okay. So minimally, about 8 feet. But on a good day, probably like 12 inches. Those 4 houses, it's 51 cars back in season. Parking lot out here? Anybody have any idea how many parking spots? I counted them on the way in. 32 spots. So do the math. That's almost 20 more spots that are being consumed by 4 houses. All right.
Jim, your time's up.
Sorry, somebody come up and
No,
say-
if you could, Jim, do you mind just summarize?
I'm not done.
Louise Grover, 301 20th Street, the site of 4 hotels and random shootings. We were with the Koyas fighting the animal houses 304 and 306 10 years ago. It really did not get as far as we liked. And I guess I felt like we were placated. But my question is the onus. I hear you talk about taking care of the seawall and protecting those citizens down there. I hear you talking about the beaches, but nobody seems to be protecting us. If you lived on a street and we bought in that area because it was residential, and then 4 homes were built, and these nouveau riche people come in and they decide to take the money they made during the pandemic and invest in these properties, not live in them. In fact, the man that owns the ones at 304 and 306, who have owned it for 10 years, have spent one night in those 10 years in that house, never in it. So we're living across from hotels. And yes, the parking is horrendous, the parties, the weddings, we've seen it all, people on the roof, the drinking, waking up to the amps and the noise in the middle of the night with the music waking you up out of sound sleep. Where's our rights? Somebody should be helping us. We're telling you what's going on and nobody hears us. I also feel that it's part of your problem that you don't have a hotel. You have the one, you have La Semana, all the motels are gone. If you want these people in your island making money for your businesses, do something about it. Put up a small hotel right on Brigantine Avenue. I know it's a perfect spot where the down and out uh, stores are, where the Chinese restaurant is, right across, right in front of the Acme. There's stores there across from the bay. Do something to put these people. But I don't want them in my neighborhood. All these, how would you feel every day to get up and there's strangers out there? And this 2-night rule, not going to work. Mark Aiton Ventnor just put it in the paper this week that they are demanding 3-night minimum. And they want it passed before Memorial Day weekend because 2 nights are still bringing the bachelor parties, the showers, the bachelorette parties, and they are ridiculous. And the golfers. So look right on the Atlantic City Press on Tuesday, 3-night minimum. Avalon, when we first started coming and fighting about these hotels, they pass it, that's it, 10 minimum, 10 maximum, I'm sorry, per house. And that's it. They don't let 18 and 24 and 26. Imagine you having a neighbor with 22 children in there. You would be having a fit with there were one of them, let alone 4. I see my time.
Jim Coya, 305 20th Street. Okay, so I'm just going to read this last line of the thing here because I think this is really important. Traditional seasonal rentals are designed or designated in Chapter 246 for bed and breakfast establishments licensed by the city and intended to accommodate no more than 18 persons shall not be considered to be a resort house. So anything over that is a resort house. And by this, I don't know what this is, a document, I don't know what to call it. Basically says, if it's a residentially styled structure, advertises as destination locations available for lease rent, and lease catering individuals, guests for functions, special events, including not limited to weddings, retreats, family reunions, parties, and meetings. A resort house is commercial use appropriate only in area zones for hotels and motel use and never has been permitted as legal use under existing ordinances standards. Never been, but we've got 2 across the street that have been that way for years. So who controls this? Who checks it? Who authorizes every year you have to have a certificate, a license? Doesn't anybody look at any of this stuff and say, wait a minute, 18, 23, 24, that's not allowed. Then who checks it? Really, who's checking? I mean, I'm shocked that they're parking illegally on the street. My nephew parked there one time by mistake, didn't realize it, new to the island, got a ticket immediately. It was not the season, it was off season. So unless that changes, take all the signs down, give the residents that live there based on their square footage of property a parking permit, and then tow anybody else away. Open it up. Because I believe, my understanding was that was never occupied with cars because you needed access to the beach for emergency. That was what I was told. I don't know if it's true. Sounds right. Well, now we can fly on the beach. We've got all these new vehicles. I've never seen anybody come through there except for a guy did drive down for years, a big old car.
Time's up.
17. Okay. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate the time, but this is bigger than an animal house. This is really a totally different situation. And I can't believe this is not been addressed. It's public.
Yes, Mrs. Phillips.
NH Phillips, 308 27th Street. I'd like to build on what Mr. Koya just said. I got the impression from some comments you just made this evening, Mayor Sarah, that you need more ammunition, legal ammunition, to really deal with this problem. And that's what I think you need to clarify. And Mr. Koya was just discussing this. It sounds to me, and I think it's evident, that the properties that are causing the problems are fit your definition of a resort house. And obviously, this is commercial activity in a residential zone. And based on your own zoning laws, ordinances, these places are resort houses. And he just read the definition. So why do you need more ammunition to go into court and to state the case? You've got violations. They've been there. And I can imagine what it must be like parking. I'm on 27th Street and we have parking simply because people walk, going to the beach. But that's an impossible situation. It has all sorts of possibilities for liabilities. And that means making the city liable in addition to having citizens being deprived of their rights living in a residential zone. So please answer the question. Aren't these properties resort houses? Yes or no?
So what I would like is for our attorney and our code enforcement to look into that, because what you're bringing up, I think, makes a very good point. If they're in violation, then that's something we can go after, but I would like them to look into that. And honestly, after hearing Mr. Koya speak tonight, I think you've made a very good point. One of the things I've learned in this position is I am not an attorney. But we have an attorney. I would like our attorney to research that. I would like code enforcement to research that. It was the same thing when it was brought to our attention about the commercial use of the property for retreat. Same thing, we had legal review it. We're going to enforce that. They can't do that. If this is the same situation, this is the first, at least for me, that I'm hearing it. If this is that situation, the city should take appropriate action. And that's
Yeah.
what I was going to actually have notes for them to
All right.
do.
You don't have to be a lawyer necessarily. This was drafted probably by a lawyer, by your attorney, the city solicitor, using legal language and intending it to be a legal document. It should be grounds on which to enforce. You can enforce the law there. You've got the definitions, you've got the activities. You definitely have commercial activity in a residential zone, which is ill-equipped, obviously, not only legally, but every other way to handle such a situation. I don't know why there's any hesitancy or any reluctance to agree that these are resort houses. It's obvious. So I don't understand why you can't enforce your own laws based on the laws that you have here. You don't need an attorney to say research. No research. The evidence is there. It's been going on for years. The buck stops with you guys up here. Excuse me, Karen and gals. And you can't say, I'm going to research it. Give it to an attorney. You've got the law. Enforce it.
So
There's a difference between commercial and residential.
absolutely, and we are going to look into it, and like I said, I would like them to both look into it, and I would like our code enforcement to have direction on the best way to handle it. So, Mrs. Phillips, I've learned as much as you want us to stand here and say yes or no, really what it comes down to is this. It comes down to one, making sure the city's on legal ground. You say we are, we're going to research it and make sure we are. Two, it makes sure that our code enforcement has clear direction and consistent direction on how we do it. Three, it also makes sure that our police are in the best possible position to enforce it. We're going to do all those things, but I'm going to have everybody go through the process and make sure that we do it correctly. So I'm not disagreeing with it, but I'm not going to stand here and make a decision until I have all the facts. And if those facts are correct, and as everybody has presented it, we're going to do everything in our power to make things right. And the other thing I want you to understand is that there is not a single person up here who does not want to do right by the people of the city. There's not a single person up here that does not want to help everybody there, everybody on those streets. And that is what we are working towards. And
I'm not
I hope you can
disputing that.
understand that.
I'm saying you have the effective mechanism in your own zoning law to correct the situation and make sure it ends and it doesn't return. If that's not correct, then you have a problem with the solicitor, I presume, who wrote the law here. But time isn't on your side. It's March already, and activities will increase, and that's not fair.
Right.
And it shouldn't be up to the citizen to actually come here repeatedly to try to get the law enforced. You've been made aware of the situation. You have law enforcement, municipal court, enforce your own law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Phelps. Go ahead. How you doing, Mike? How you
Mike
doing?
Terigian, Sheridan Boulevard. Everybody here, made some pretty valid claims today, what's going on here on our island. Now, I live far away from 20th Street. This guy's a good personal friend of mine over here, Mr. Gordon. And Andrea has been blowing up my email address all about all this stuff that's going on. And everybody in this audience today made very valid points.
Absolutely.
And I know you will do something about it. I told you over 4 years ago, you'd be sitting in that seat one day, and I was right. There you are. And I know you're a good person. I know you really care about the city, and you'll do the right thing. If our ordinance needs to be changed, so be it. But I don't think it does, according to Ann. And basically, that's all I have to say on that subject. But I have another subject. You got into this jetties. Now, they don't want to fund it. I understand that. We all know that would not create, but eliminate our problems here. But that's a long-term issue. But in the meantime, we keep replenishing the beach. 1 year, 2 years later, this is all costing a lot of money too. What's the long-term effect on all this money going out for beach replenishment versus one big nut you're going to do for the jetties? I know you're going to stay on it. You're going to go after them. And I hope someday you'll succeed. I won't be around to see it, but I hope you do succeed. And one other thing about the press. I wrote an article in the opinion section. I hope they have the guts to print it because I'm paying for 7-day delivery to my house. They're going to go to 3 days and then they're going to put it on the internet and all that stuff. How many senior citizens don't know how to use a computer? They're putting all these seniors. Now I can use a computer. I know how to do it. But I know a lot of people that don't know how to use a computer. And to me, I think it's a very big injustice they're doing. They put my carrier out of work. 28 years he's been delivering to my house. He's out of a job. I know this is corporate America and it's all about the money. But sometimes money isn't everything, But I don't think there's anything you personally can do about it. But if you can, do something. I don't know what else to say. I just hope they publish what I wrote, but I sort of doubt it. Anyway, that's it for now. I haven't been up here in a long time.
It's been a while.
Maybe I'll be back again soon. We'll see.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. Sure.
I don't think I used up all my time last time. In reference to the ads, they say, at least the one on 400 block, 406 and 402, they say 18 per house. But as an eyewitness, and as God is my witness also, more than 18 folks. Now, we all have parties, more than 18 people come into our houses on different events, but they stay. And it is truly a commercial enterprise. These LLCs are blowing up our communities. So I think what we need to find out is, how do we track the people who are renting? I mean, if I were to go into a Motel 6, like in Graysonville, Maryland, on my way to a trip or something like that, and I rolled in for the night, they're going to want my driver's license. They're going to take the plate off of my car. So they know who's in there, like God forbid there's an emergency. Especially if they're renting as a paid guest to hold a deposit, like this weekend retreat coming up or on the 29th. Also, you hire, I know you hire, if maybe I'm wrong, do you hire like per diem or like seasonal police and seasonal help for, like, I guess for the beach cleanups and stuff like that? Do we have seasonal
You
employees?
have seasonal employees.
And I know that the office that takes the complaints about these rental properties is not operable on the weekends. The office is closed, so we're told we have to call the police and beat their ear. And then we have to go in personally and file a complaint on Monday when the office is back open. Is there some way we can hire seasonally? Because this is when it's the pinnacle of all this problem is going to be between Memorial Day and Labor Day, to man the phone in the complaint office, so we don't have to get like somebody to, like Bob, have to hobble in and file a complaint on Monday when he could lodge it on the phone to a viable employee of the city and it's official. So I'm just trying to cut through some red tape. But know one thing, 18 is just the number they use for the Airbnb ads, because 18, anything over 18 designates a resort house. They're trying to fly under the radar. We all know what they're doing. That's it, but I'll be back.
All right, if there's no other public comment, we'll close the public portion. Is there one? I'm sorry, go ahead. Apologize. No, you're perfect. You're perfect.
My name and address.
Yeah, just name and address,
I
please.
usually get a shock when I touch these things. Beverly Marinelli, 336 34th Street. I'm aware of what's been going on. I am aware of the information that thank you. I'm aware of what Andrea Sullivan is talking about, and I agree that these mansions are not resort destinations, and I agree that it should be nipped in the butt. I was on my own town's council several years ago, and I'll leave it to you guys to correct the situation before it gets out of hand. There is no way that these houses should have weddings and charm schools and what have you, and park where is no parking, and music and the whole bit. I think of where I live. I'm only the second block from the beach, and a couple of really nice houses near me, and it's fine. If they want to rent them and have 10, 12 people in for the week, that's fine. But I certainly wouldn't want 30, 40 people coming for the day, using up all the parking on the street, and then where do you go? So I do think it's an issue that you should get on top of. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. If there's no other public comment, we'll close the public portion. One of the things to say is I've actually taken a lot of notes on a lot of the things that people brought up tonight. I do think there's some good ideas here that we need to explore, especially, the definition between a commercial property and a residential property. And I think you've given some good ideas of things we can start to look into, and I'd like to sort of legal counsel kind of go through this. As I said, a number of municipalities are looking at major changes and major overhauls to their short-term rental issues. The issue we're having here in Brigantine is not just isolated to Brigantine. I know Margate's looking at a 7-night minimum for their rentals. I talked with the mayor of Ventnor today. They're looking, I know they had originally said 3. He thinks that they're going to start with a 2 and then expand. Different communities, I guess, have different needs when it comes to short-term rentals. One of the biggest challenges we have here in Brigantine is there are no hotels. I've had a few meetings with different hotel chains. I agree. One of the ways to solve that is to have a hotel here in Brigantine. In fact, I have another meeting coming up in the next couple of weeks with another hotel owner. Sometimes that brings in some challenges on its own. I know Ocean City looked into putting a hotel, and people rejected it. People didn't want it. It also has to make sense. Some of the hotel chains I talked to, like what they wanted in pilots and abatements, didn't make sense for the city of Brigantine. We would bear the expense while they made the profit. So obviously we turned them down. But it is something that we are exploring. If there was a viable option that worked for the community, obviously before we did anything, we would put that out there. But then, you got to contain this in some of the commercial areas. So that's something that I would like to talk with our legal counsel, especially too, when it comes to the difference between, I guess, a rental home and a vacation home. When you talk about those number differences, it's something that we need to explore. I just want to get clear answers before we do anything here to make sure that what we do is appropriate. And you'll learn, and this is a philosophy I've had most of my life. It is better to do things right than do them fast. And everyone who's here, feel free. Come every council meeting if you need to. Continue to send us emails, continue to contact us. Because a lot of the good ideas we get comes from the public participation. It comes from your comments there. You guys are going to see things that maybe we don't see. There's people who have expertise in areas that we might not. And that's what I mean. It is a community that makes this work. So as I said, I took the notes here, talking with a number of shore communities, and we're going to move something forward. If there's things that we can enforce right now, that's something we need to do. If we need better signage on those streets to make sure that the parking tickets are legally enforceable, let's move forward on that, especially in the problem areas. Let's handle what we can handle now in our code. And if there's things that need to be added or changed to our code, let's make sure that we do those as well. Are there any other council comments? There's no other, bless you. If there's no other council comments, can we have a motion to adjourn? So the public portion's already closed. The meeting's about to end, but I'll come down if you wanted to share something with me. You can first. Absolutely. So if there's, we have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. So the ayes have it. Thank you for joining us at our March 15th council meeting. I hope everybody has a great St. Patrick's Day holiday.
Good to see you, Mike. How you doing, buddy?